Can anybody find us? The music we love.
So what exactly is the music we love and why? Well, in order for us to answer that, we'll have to take a trip back to a place called the United Kingdom in the 1960s. In the 1960s, the main genres in the music industry were pop and pop rock, which was largely feel-good, upbeat music inspired by the war and protests for peace, and in the later parts of the decade, drugs. Bands such as the Beatles and Pink Floyd of the UK were influencing music across the shores in North America, which was called the British Invasion. Soon, North Americans jumped on the bandwagon and released their own versions of this music in the form of Bob Dylan or the Beach Boys. The 1970s saw the rise of many new styles of music such as the blues rock of Led Zeppelin, the hard-rocking Van Halen, the punk rockers of the Ramones, the glam rock of Sweet and Kiss, and the disco music of the Bee Gees. The music of these bands were still in the vein of being mostly upbeat, though the musicality increased, producing more complex and deeper music. The 70s is still considered by many to be one of the golden ages of music. In the 1980s, music took a wild turn. Now big in the music scene were pop singers such as Madonna and Michael Jackson, and new wave bands such as Flock of Seagulls, who all experimented with the relatively new technology of synthesizers. Also, the hair and glam metal boom, led by bands such as Def Leppard, Twisted Sister, and Motley Crue, began, which featured a lot of flashy-looking and sounding bands that helped to usher females into the rock scene. The 1990s saw the deterioration of upbeat rock in favor of the darker grunge music of bands such as Nirvana or Soundgarden. The feel-good music of this decade was led by pop-oriented boy or girl bands such as the Backstreet Boys, NSYNC, Britney Spears, or the Spice Girls. Just beginning to rise in popularity was hip-hop music, with rappers such as Eminem. This music was largely based around the synthesized rhythms and beats, while the rapper would lay down rhymes. Finally, in the 21st century, we have reached the pinnacle so far for range and types of music. Although there are limitless genres to choose from, the main areas in the business right now are pop or hip-hop solo artists such as Lil Wayne or Kanye West, emo or indie rock bands such as Fall Out Boy or The Academy Is, and many darker and hardcore metal bands such as Behemoth or Lamb of God. It's safe to say that a lot of musicians are taking music in vastly new directions, but are these the right directions? In order to find out how people will view the paths music has taken over the past 50 years, and what sort of changes the music industry has seen, let's take a look at the public's opinion.
Definitely my parents' generation of music, because there's a lot more quality put into the music and they spent way more time on it, and now it's all just to meet a deadline.
So it's pretty angry and I don't like it.
Attitude has become more about emotions rather than in the 60s.
It has definitely gone for the worst. I mean, some of the lyrics behind songs that artists write are just ridiculous, and none of it is needed.
I think it's a bit freer. I think you're allowed to express yourself a bit more in your music. Unlike older times when you had to just stick to the books, stay by the rules.
And you don't really get as much out of the music. And there's not as much like soul in the music.
It's become more fake and more repetitive.
Like, music is a way to express oneself, but when some secrets are meant to stay in the closet, let's just say that.
All about the money.
With this input, it can be seen that the public has noticed a change in many aspects of music over the past 50 years. Some believe it has been for the better, some believe it has been for the worse. However, most agree that the attitude in the music industry has become more self-centered or self-beneficial, and the musicians have lost sight of the true meaning of music. So the question is, if music really is on a slowly deteriorating path, and musicians are straying further and further from the true meaning of music, is there hope that in the future it will once again return to the heart of meaning? Or does it even happen?
On the fact that these rock bands are legendary.
That it will become more popular. You know, I'm not sure if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but, you know.
Yes, I do. Because, like, everyone watches or plays Guitar Hero or whatever, so.
They made, like, so many games that had influenced older rock, so I do feel like, yeah,
Good old rock and roll.
You decide.